Not only has no one put a stop to it, Mazz, I think the Krafts have today contributed to the noise.
Definitely. Look, sorry, I didn't mean to just jump right in there.
Well, and I'll just say
Go
they
ahead.
contributed to the noise in a couple of stories, one of which is getting plenty of attention, Andrew Callahan and Doug Kyed in the Herald, and deservedly so. But I think there was another one in The Athletic that I'm not sure when it was posted, I think yesterday, that, well, let's just put it this way. You read the two stories. Today, Bill Belichick is taking a beating. It's a bloodbath out there on Bill Belichick. And there's no other way to read this other than the guillotine is hanging over his head. Knives are not just out. He's walking the plank. And the two stories are excellent and fascinating. And so just to play off that sound, not only have the Krafts not put an end to the speculation, I think today they lit a fire to it. And we'll give you the details on both of these stories and react to it all day long. But, Mazz, your thoughts?
I've had this feeling all year long, and I know we've talked about it. Now Schefter's saying it. Obviously, again, it's an important week, a huge week in the history of Boston sports. But there have been ample opportunities along the way. In fact, I would say countless opportunities because the timing doesn't even matter. At any point over the last several months, Robert Kraft or Jonathan Kraft or somebody could have come out and just said, yeah, we've heard the noise. And really, I don't know where it's coming from. We're keeping Bill. He's going to be our coach for as long as he wants to be our coach. End of story. And it all goes away. That's it. Over. And you could, if they felt strongly about it, they could even repeat it multiple times. Yeah, we keep hearing the news. We're going to keep saying it too. He's going nowhere. That has not happened. So, to me, it's a tacit admission that he's on the hot seat. You had every chance to stop it, and you've done nothing, which means you've let it burn.
And then today, in these stories, I think you get a sense that, not only are they not going to stop the talk, they're going to contribute to it.
Well, it's the chicken and beer moment for the Bill Belichick Patriots, which I didn't know if we were going to get. I really started to doubt we were going to get anything like this. I mean, it all feels like it's coming to a head. He's probably going to be out at the end of the year, but I didn't know if we were going to get like these salacious behind-the-scenes stories that paint the picture of a broken, dysfunctional franchise behind the scenes, like it was with the 2011 Red Sox. That's what we got today. I mean, the one with the Herald. I mean, as you keep going, you're like, oh.
So let's do it. I'm just going to read it from the top. Some things are more relevant than the others, but we'll just go in chronological order and read from Callahan, and then I'll give you the Athletic story later on. And both sort of, the Callahan story, the Callahan-Kyed story in the Herald, the Patriots fall to rock bottom in the Belichick era, and it describes the problems with the coaching staff and the offense. And then the Athletic one details the schism between Belichick and Kraft. And in both stories, the Krafts don't take a single hit. They don't take a single hit for anything they've done wrong. No mention of the payrolls. No mention of whatever Kraft's role would have been in the Brady affair. And in fact, the Athletic thing goes back to the Brady affair and puts it totally on Belichick. And so when someone doesn't take a hit in a story, that's got to get your antenna up. So anyway, Bill Belichick took a beating today. Let's get into it, shall we? Callahan points out that the Patriots rank dead last in scoring heading into Sunday's game against the Jets, dead last in the league. To unpack that failure, the Herald interviewed more than a dozen team sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retribution from the Patriots. I always love that line. That is an excellent job. That is a good tabloid line right there. All he had to say is that they spoke off the record or anonymously, but you add the line, they spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retribution from the Patriots. So good. Right when he wrote that, I'm like, oh, good job, Andrew. Here we go. He says, over months, sources described an offense undone by a quieter type of dysfunction that existed last year with Patricia and Judge. A broken quarterback and finger-pointing between the coaching staff and front office. These sources paint scenes of a new offensive coordinator unsure of his assistants, a quarterback's room filled with tense radio silence, an offensive lineman unofficially working as a coach to round out a shorthanded staff, another veteran proclaiming with 4 games left he would play for another team next season. Quote, "This was messed up from the beginning," end quote, a locker room source said. Quote, "Nothing like I expected," another said. Not at all. And then he gets into the O'Brien thing, which felt dysfunctional above him, below him, and all around him. Callahan and Kayad write, days after the Patriots announced the opening of an offensive coordinator search last January, it became clear Belichick had no intention of running the search in good faith. Bill O'Brien was the only candidate of the 5 he interviewed with coordinator experience. 3 were ex-players Belichick had either coached or crossed paths with in New England, one of whom, sources believe, interviewed for a different position he would later accept, offensive line coach Adrian Clem. And then they discussed Clem, how his fit struck some in the organization as questionable. According to league sources, some assistants came to believe that O'Brien wanted to clean house and build his own offensive staff upon arriving in January, but Belichick denied him. Belichick allowed one hire, and that's Will Lawing, tight ends coach Will Lawing, who replaced tight ends coach Nick Caley. To onlookers, a clear hierarchy developed with O'Brien and his assistants. There was Lawing and assistants quarterback coach Evan Rothstein, and then everybody else. Quote, "The staff dynamic is completely effed," a team source said. I'll just stop there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so look, to me, for those people who call in and say, split the baby, take away the personnel control from Belichick, let him stay as coach, this is why you can't. So I have so many questions just from that detail that you provided right there, or that was provided in the story by Callahan, that Bill O'Brien went to Bill, said, "I want to hire my own offensive staff." Bill said no. Right then and there, I believe, Bill O'Brien is here because Robert Kraft wanted a change on the staff. In fact, again, Callahan reported, Bill had no intention of running a search in good faith. So Robert says to him, "We got to change coordinators." Okay, fine. Well, I'm going to half-ass it and pick my own guy then. Bill just rebelled.
And then not let him do the full thing.
Right. He rebelled against Robert. "I'm not going to conduct a search in good faith." Then he rebelled against O'Brien. You get one coach, that's it. So Bill is still effing the whole thing out.
It's clear he never wanted O'Brien back in the first place, and he resents the fact he was back in the building.
This is why you can't let him stay.
Yeah.
So what's he going to do if you put a GM on top of him?
Right. This is why you cannot let him stay. He can't play nicely with other people that he doesn't control. He can't do it. I mean, really, again, and frankly, I'm kind of annoyed that Robert didn't step in and say, "Bill, Belichick,
You've lost the offense.
right,
After
O'Brien gets to pick the staff, Bill, too bad."
You lost the offense after last year.
Right.
It's over.
Robert's got to step in there.
But you know what? I think Bill contractually has control of his staff.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, I think.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, and so it's somewhere in between Robert with a half measure, or it's in my contract, Robert. You don't get to pick my staff. I get to pick my staff. I'll give you him if he wants to bring a guy, but I'm not going to let Bill O'Brien fill out my staff.
Oh, it's so dysfunctional. It just creates divisions and fractures in the infrastructure of the organization. There are cracks on the staff because some guys are O'Brien guys, some guys are Bill guys. Bill uses his power to leverage O'Brien. That's a mess.
It's why it's not going to work keeping Bill in any sort of half measure. He is too power hungry. By the way, part of it you get. I mean, he had full power in Cleveland. He had full power here. After just a couple of years, he gained full power. He's had full power for 20 years. The guy that he worked with the most, Bill Parcells, was obsessed with full power and buying the groceries. So it's wrapped into Belichick's DNA. And so now you come here and you say, you know, you have to hire an offensive coordinator and play nice, and Bill can't do it because he's just not wired that way. And he won't be wired that way if you get him a GM. If he couldn't handle a coordinator working, ostensibly underneath him, what makes you think he's going to be able to handle a GM working above him?
And it's an OC he knows.
Jesus.
So you bring in a GM he doesn't know. How's that going to go?
And they know how it's going to go. It's why it's over. It's why it's over. And these stories are telling you that it is, and what the crafts are saying, what people high up in the building are saying, and they're getting out ahead of it, and the guillotine is hanging over his head. Callahan and Kide write that Bill O'Brien also pulled the offense closer to him, running more unit meetings, which involved all offensive players, than Belichick and Patricia had the year before. Consequently, positional meetings became scarce, sources said, which limited individual time shared between players and their positional coaches. Most everything flowed through O'Brien. So here's Bill O'Brien acting like a little pill himself. Okay, Bill Belichick, you're not going to let me hire my own guys? Well, fine. I'm just going to meet with all these guys myself.
Counterpunch.
Yeah. No, I mean, Clem's not my guy. Troy Brown's not my guy. Whoever that other receivers coach isn't my guy. Yates isn't my guy. These aren't my guys. So you know what? I'll just bring them into my meeting.
Right. I'm not going to use them as assistants.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. That's a well-run organization. The little fiefdoms and the little, territories. That's ridiculous. And it's so predictable that's what was going to happen. And that's what happened.
Tit for tat. You're going to bypass me? Fine. I'm going to bypass you.
Oh, my God. Well,
what a way to start.
What's going on down there?
Unbelievable.
And so if you keep Bill but hire others around him, to Mazz's point, what makes you think it's going to be any different? That's what it's going to be. And I am sorry if you – and this is what they're going to do. They're going to go with Mayo, and there's going to be little factions that are hanging on. Some are going to go. Some are going to stay. And it's not going to be nearly as bad as it is with Belichick, because Belichick is a paranoid nut. And Mayo seems like a normal human being. But still, you're not starting over on the same page. And I fear going to Mayo is going to be is risking the continuation of some of this stuff. Like I said, not as bad, because it's gotten really bad down there.